Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Minutes with M&M. I'm Mena, this is Miss N, and we're excited to have you here with us today. So today we're going to be talking about Insecure, the HBO show that Issa killed it on, and we'll really be focusing on the friendships of the women. So there's not going to be a lot of talk about Lawrence or Nathan or Daniel. They can all go sit to the side. We're really just going to talk about the different kinds of friendships that we saw on the show and just how different stages of life can test your friendship in different ways or also show how it's strong in really positive ways. So that's what we're excited about for today. So diving in, let's start with kind of the main friend group of the show, and that's obviously Issa, Molly, Kelly, and Tiffany. Lots of E's there. So the four of them have been friends since college, and they've been through a lot of major life things, and they're each other's go-to for major life happenings. But within that friendship, there are two best friends. You have Molly and Issa, and then you have Tiffany and Kelly. And although the four of them are all friends, there's clearly a hierarchy of friendships between them. There's secrets that they tell some but not the others, and I think that's a really good depiction of what friendship is like in real life. Yeah. If there's a group of you, odds are you're not friends with every single person in the same way.
Yeah. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that's just how it is usually. You just get closer with one person than the other, and then you just kind of start telling them a lot more than you would tell the other person. If you're that person who has managed to have 6 really close friends on an equally deep level, then I guess shout out to you. But yeah.
No, absolutely. And it's funny because they're a group. They'll make fun of Issa for being broke, or they'll call Tiffany bougie, but then Tiffany will only tell Kelly certain things about her life, and no one is resentful of it, which is something I really like. I feel like at no point did, at least with those specific hierarchies. So obviously if Issa's telling Kelly something she's not telling Molly, Molly's probably going to be mad. But within the designated friendships that they've decided on within the group, you didn't have a situation where anyone's throwing a tantrum because they don't know something that the best friend knows but the group as a whole doesn't know. So I really like that aspect of the friendships.
I think it just wasn't focused on enough. There was a big focus on their interpersonal relationships with I guess their significant others or their dating life. So I can't say if they decided to focus on their friendship. I'm pretty sure there'll be someone, because we had certain moments where Kelly was like, what's going on here?
That's true. But I feel like when she had those moments, it always felt a tiny bit hypocritical to me, because it's you know stuff about Tiffany that the other two don't know. So maybe they'll come to you when they're ready to tell you.
Yeah, I guess.
But I mean, I do like that the four of them put the four of them first in general. Tiffany was kind of shaky, but that's her whole thing. But we also see how that can present as pain points when you want to make new friends. So for example, when Tiffany got pregnant and had her baby shower, she made some new friends, some new moms to be, because none of her friends had kids. And you kind of see that shakes Tiffany a little bit. Oh, not Tiffany, sorry. Kelly's kind of I could have thrown you this, or I could have been involved. And Tiffany's no, it's okay. And that's actually kind of scary. For both of them, I feel bad for both people in this situation, because Tiffany's going through a huge life change that none of her friends can relate to. None of her friends are even married, bro. She's really just super ahead of the rest of them. But Kelly feels like she's losing her best friend. And it's something that's going to be really hard for her to bridge, especially once the baby's here. If we're already drifting apart when you're just pregnant, what's going to happen when you're a mom?
To be honest, I didn't really feel a lot more, I didn't really feel anything, or what I should have been feeling when Kelly was, upset that Tiffany's friends threw her the baby shower. Because I don't know, I know it's insinuated that Molly and Issa is close, Kelly and Tiffany are close. I haven't really seen, they didn't really focus a lot on Kelly and Tiffany's friendship. So I don't feel that bond the way I feel it with Molly and Issa. So I don't know if it's a situation whereby they were just 4 friends and Molly and Issa just became close. So Kelly was just oh, okay, Tiffany. And then because I feel if I had a friend that was going through something, or if I was going through a phase of my life different from what my friend is going through, I just feel like that's not enough reason for me to just shut who supposedly the person that's supposed to be my best friend or my closest friend out of my life, especially something as big as your baby shower for your first baby.
But
it
that
just didn't
happens.
click to me. What do you mean it happens?
Yeah, but it's a realistic thing. Like, people who have kids tend to surround themselves with people who have kids. And it's not like I hate my original friends and I don't want to hang out with them anymore. It's just like life happens that way. One of your friends are talking about going to Coachella and getting high, and they're like, this is absolutely not going to be my life next year. You start to build new relationships that, you know, when you need someone to babysit, you know you'll babysit for them too. It's not... I mean, the way Tiffany did it wasn't great, because why am I finding out on the day of the shower?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, at least, like, if we're that close, I understand that we're not going through the same phases in life. I'm not like a kid hater. I didn't say fuck all babies. Like, I don't like kids. I don't care. Like, you know, that kind of thing. Like, so if we talk that often, surely your baby shower should come up. Like, it's a big event in your life.
I think it's a mix of two things. One, just the kind of person Tiffany was. She was a little uppity. You know, she cares about appearances and doing things a certain way. Like, literally, her baby showers were pictures of her, you know, feeling like a superstar. Like, she's very particular, and she's also just bad at handling difficult conversations. So I think that's part of why she didn't bring it up to Kelly. I also think Kelly was kind of in denial about the changes. Like, that Coachella thing really bugged me for Tiffany. Like, they kind of just didn't care that she was like the pregnant friend until like Issa kind of saw how sad she was, and they have that one-on-one conversation. But they're all like, ooh, we're gonna fuck strangers and do drugs, and Tiffany's like, and I guess I will stand here sober and watch it happen. Obviously your friends' lives don't need to end because you're having a baby, but we never see them do like this is a regular hangout that isn't dedicated to Tiffany, but we've thought about you and accommodated you in it. And
yeah, I mean, towards the end, towards the last season or the season before that, they did insinuate that they had been meeting up with Tiffs and everyone else without Issa. They had been meeting up with Tiffs, and like they've been taking care of the child, and like they've been having a thing. So I think they all kind of came together at the end. Yeah,
I guess so. Like, it was just, and I think that's just a good thing to see on TV, is just like when your friendship changes in a big way. And it's not like, I think getting married and having kids is the easiest thing because it happens to most people. And like, she married Derek, they knew him since they were in college, but like, it could have been anything. It could have been, you know, getting into an accident and having a disability, and now the way you live your life is just entirely different. And how do your friends either grow with you or grow apart from you? And I think they kind of show that a little bit in terms of big life moments that happened. The two or three that come to mind are definitely Tiffany having PPD, postpartum depression, and like, you know, Issa and Molly are having their fun little fighting period going on, rolls eyes. But they come together, all of them, including Tiffany and Derek, and it's very much, okay, we need to find our friend. She's going through this thing. We need to be here for her. I hate that it was just like one episode and it was very glossed over.
And it was more like, let's focus on how Issa and Molly would handle being in this situation together and having to band together with their friend. It wasn't like, hey, Tiffany's going through a lot. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, Issa made a great show, but I still would have loved to see them expand a little bit more on postpartum depression. Like, if you're going to talk about it well. That's my main pet peeve with shows. Like, if you want to talk about a serious issue and you want to raise awareness about it and all, like, just do it well, you know? Like, don't just make it a thing where it's just mentioned casually. Because once Derek finds her in the hotel and hugs her, it's like, all right, back to Issa and Molly. Like,
it's one of those things that happens where you have like your main characters, and it's Issa, Molly, and tell me where I just forgot Lawrence's name, but yeah, it's the three of them, and then everyone else is kind of a side character that maybe gets something. I mean, even as we're complaining, Tiffany got a ton more story than Kelly did, and she was still barely there. Issa, this is why you don't do 10-episode TV shows. Like, maybe if you gave us a 20-episode season, we'd able to get into all these storylines and characters.
yeah.
But yeah, and I guess to a smaller degree, when Molly's mom died, they kind of rally. It's mostly Issa again, like you said, and tauren who comes through. But again, it's a real big focus on their romantic love lives versus their friendships. But yeah, when your friends go through these really major life things, it's very much like you should be there. You should be their support. And mostly they were there, even for good stuff, like with Issa's, when she was putting together her
Block party.
block party. in theory, Molly was giving a bit of haterade there. They kind of all did little parts. I mean, they all complained and they were showing their asses, but they did come through and say, okay, you're doing this.
I don't know. See, I don't get that friendship group as a whole. Like, just because you've been friends since college does not mean you have to be friends like throughout. Because I just don't understand me doing something that I've worked so hard for, especially if you've been present throughout my entire journey, and then the day has come and it's like you complaining and you like. I don't get that kind of friendship, so I don't understand why they were friends. And everyone says the show is very authentic to the Black American culture. I'm not saying anything, but you know, I don't get it. Maybe if someone gets it, let me know in the comments.
I'm screaming.
I sometimes see that like maybe it's a thing that they didn't really focus on the friendships, but like a lot of the times, even when they show up for their friends, it's a bit like, even when Molly showed up for Issa's thing, she was there saying, oh, my relationship, and Issa was like, can you carry this chair, please? Like, can you like
okay, but I don't think that that's like an African American thing. I think the African American things that they were referring to weren't about necessarily the friendships, but it was like cultural aspects that show up in the show. But like in terms of the friendship, they were friends because they liked each other. Like, they, other than the really big fight that they have, like, they had other fights, but friends fight. Like, people get upset about the things you do. And when you've known someone for a really long time, the things that bug you really bug you, because this thing has been bugging me for 10 years, so this is just your personality. Mm-hmm. So obviously when they had their really big fight that lasted a whole season, like, Jesus, Issa, was that really necessary? There were things that they needed to address. There were growing pains, and also people change. Like, the person who you befriended at 18 is not the person that they are at 30.
Well, then you can end the friendship.
Especially because, like, some of it wasn't even the other person. Some of it was internal work. Like, let's not lie. Molly needed to deal with her issues around having a partner.
Well, call me a bad friend, but if you have the resources to get help and you're complaining to me 100 times, I feel like I would have a limit. Like, for me, it's like after 5 years, if you don't at least say, okay, I'm in therapy, or like,
I mean, she was in therapy.
Problems.
No, but that therapy was so funny. She said something me and Drew, and her therapist said, who's Drew? And I'm like, Molly!
Yeah, but I'm just like, I mean, I'm being harsh. Obviously, it's not as clear cut as I'm saying it is. I'm just saying that you don't have to remain friends with someone for the rest of your life. Like, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing where like you never speak to each other again. Like, if you've gotten to a point where your lives are so different right now and you guys cannot seem to reconcile and like still move forward in your friendship, it's okay to be acquaintances. I feel like we kind of just call everyone our friends these days. Like, some people are your acquaintances and that's fine. Some people are your friends for going out to the club. You're just like, all right, let's go party. But like, the person who you tell your deep issues to or your deep problems to is somebody else. So like, we should normalize that. I hate to use that word, but like, we should normalize that, because like, if something has been bugging you for 10 years and you told me, like, is it that you've been resentful and you've not told me about it and I don't know and I'm just here bugging you, or you've told me about it and nothing has changed? Like, are you just going to keep suffering? Like, you don't, there's an abundance of people on this world. Like, you can find other friends.
But she grew. Like, it was necessary.
She did grow.
And she needed that push to get there. Like, I mean, first she needed to be a horrible friend for a couple of months, and Andrew needed to break up with her. But then she realized, and she did. Like, I'm not gonna lie, God, Molly infuriates. I spent the whole season 3 thinking, nah, this can't be it. This is not. I got to before they became friends again, I was fully, remember, I was like, they don't need to be friends anymore. It's okay, Molly, just leave Issa, let her grow. But y'all have been friends for so long, and you're going through a phase of your life, and I know that God will help you come through on the other side.
Yeah, but again, all this, oh, didn't she change? Didn't she grow? It was because all the men left her. She now remembered that she had a friend called Issa that she can go and talk to after Andrew finally left her. Like, do people like that actually really change? Let's say her relationship with Andrew was successful. Do you really think that she was going to reach out? Like, obviously, no. Like, she wouldn't have reached out. And like, to me, it's like, where's the friendship there when, like, I just feel like it's more like, obviously, I think friendships are in a way transactional, but that was a bit like too transactional for me, because it's like, okay, like, now I've lost everything. I can go back to, like, after all the mean things you've done, after Issa had tried to reach out multiple times and you were like, no, I'm good in my relationship. Oh God, I'm so tired of her ass. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe you guys have outgrown each other. Maybe you can. Because I believe in the fact that you don't have to be friends with someone all the time. Like, I've had certain friendships in my life where, like, we were friends, we were close in a certain period in our lives. And then we kind of went our separate ways. And then we found ourselves back again after a few years. And then, like, because that's kind of how life works. You don't have to deal with bullshit that you don't want to deal with. And you don't have to, like, force someone to like take interest in what your life is right now versus like and vice versa. Like the people in your life should be there because they want to be there for you. So
I get
that's
that.
just kind of how I see it.
No, that makes sense. I guess it's just like you said, they were each other's best friends. This was like, I think if the fight had been between like Kelly and Issa, they would have just drifted apart, like you said. Like they were friends and they loved each other, but it wasn't that deep. But Molly was like her girl. Like when anything is going on in her life, it's Molly she goes to first, and vice versa. Even again, Molly did have situations where she was really putting men above her life, but that's, you know, we all have flaws. We can't look. She was working as a lawyer. There was a lot going on. She was stressed and tired.
She's the first lawyer.
Look, the point is she eventually made that therapy work for her. Eventually, but she got there.
I guess this is why they pay therapists money.
I'm dead. Look, Molly definitely had some difficult periods because even when we talk about like growing pains when your friends make new friends, Molly was the same. Look, when Issa and Condola first started being friends, Molly was there like, so you want to have another friend? I'm not enough for you. She was mad salty, even though literally weeks later she was being a horrible friend to Issa.
Exactly. It's like very possessive. Like I'm my own person.
So sometimes I'm jealous. Why do you like this person more than me? Are we not?
Because you're bad vibes right now. If you were good vibes, maybe maybe we can all make a new friend. It doesn't have to be just you and me versus the world.
Especially, but you know what? Molly and Issa, but especially Molly, because I think she was very critical and to a degree judgmental. But I think a big part of her struggle was that she felt that she saw all of Issa's flaws. Because right now our thing is that we're talking, oh, Molly's bad like this and Molly's bad like this, and it's pissing us off. But that's how Molly felt about Issa in a lot of ways. So even her thing with Condola was like, yes, I'm jealous that you're making a new friend, but also like, why are you friends with your ex's new girl? She felt like she was seeing Issa repeat negative patterns, and she just...
A simple conversation.
She was just mad already.
A simple conversation.
She took it too far.
If I'm your best friend, you owe me at least a simple conversation.
That's true. And we got there. Look, season 3 annoyed me to no end, but season 4 was very heartwarming in a lot of Molly and Issa scenes. Like, I feel like they grew a lot and they were really able to be supportive of each other. And despite the fact that season 3 was annoying, season 1 and season 2 had a lot of moments where even though Molly's annoying, she was a good friend. My girl was digging through trash and breaking into a house because Issa was obsessed with Nathan, or she was driving all the way back from the girls' retreat because Issa wanted to talk to Lawrence. Like, Issa was messy, but Molly stood by her, even though my girl was busy. Like I said, she was trying to make partner, and Issa's doing party time. Like, man. So I think when you've already been through so much with someone, it's hard to just say it's over, even though personally I wouldn't be friends. Look, when Issa was homeless and Molly was like, you can't live with me because you broke that vase, I'm like, ha. You can't just give her one small place in the room and say she can't leave that area.
Bro, and then she's living with Daniel and you know they have history together. But 3 months later, you're going to tell me, Issa, you like being a mess. But I wanted to stay with you.
Okay, but you could have stayed with your brother. Like, did it have to be Daniel that you stayed with? It's giving you like mess. Maybe this is why you can't stay in my house. Because why are you behaving like this? No, but I just like seeing that friendships can be messy. And you're right, sometimes it's time for a friendship to end. And if their friendship had ended in season 3, I would have been okay with it. You know what? We've gone apart. But I also like them growing back together and both becoming better. Like, we focused on Molly, but Issa also became a little bit more of an adult. Because sometimes I was like, girl, what are you doing? But I like seeing that it can suck for your friends to change. But like, imagine tomorrow I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be healthy, I'm gonna watch like 10 episodes of a show a week altogether, I'm doing less, I'm not talking. Wouldn't you be like, what the fuck, bro? Like, what is that?
No, I would be proud.
I'm like, please.
I would be proud.
Also, what you said about you don't have to be friends with people that you met in uni for the rest of your life, that's true. But Miss Anne, it's so hard to make friends as an adult.
It's hard,
It's so hard.
but it's not impossible.
We met in university. How many friends have you made since you left school that weren't friends of your friends already? Like, how many new people did you meet?
Maybe 2 or 3.
That's not bad. Because most people, you meet people at work or you meet people in school. And coworkers kind of suck sometimes. And you know, are you really gonna turn up with your coworker? You guys are gonna have to go to work the next day. You have to look them in the eye and they saw you twerking at the club.
You can go out to events and meet like-minded.
It's just so much work. Oh gosh.
It is work, but if you're open to it and they're open to it, then it's going to happen. Like, it's not like if you're just there like trying to do the most, then you just look pathetic. Because like, I don't know why are you being extra.
That's true.
But if there are two people who are clearly trying to make friends, like, we're all adults, we all understand how hard it is. So if I come and reach out to you today and I'm like, hey, like, do you want to come over, or like, you want to watch a movie, you said, you'd be like, okay. Even if you say no, it's like, okay, maybe next week. And then you would feel like you can come to me to also ask me things. Like, it's not that complicated. I mean, it's hard, but it's not that complicated.
No, you're right. It's just easier to make friends you've already had. And I think the show even shows this. Okay, so I'm actually gonna talk about Lawrence a little bit. After him and Issa break up, when Tiffany's like, come to my little dinner thing, and he brings a date. First, okay, he shouldn't have done that. But even if he hadn't brought a date and he came by himself, it's just the situation being that him and Issa still share the same friend group.
Yeah.
And like having to detangle from your friend group and make a new one, like, ugh, it's hard. Like, they were together for 5 years. These people have been my friends for 5 years. Issa wasn't gonna say, I'm gonna stop being friends with you guys. Lawrence isn't gonna say, I'm gonna stop being friends.
You should have stayed with me.
I'm screaming.
Small mistake. I can't make more mistake.
Because even when him and Condola have the baby later on, and then they go for Tiffany's baby's party, and they're there, and everyone's like, oh, Issa, are you okay? Condola and Lawrence are here.
Mess.
See, when you've made friends as an adult, sometimes you just eat the shit and keep
But
it pushing.
That drama. See, that's gist. So when we come, we're not like, ah, did you see Condola? Ah, see. So imagine if everybody had their own friends, so nobody even knows what's going on.
It's just, look, friendship is
so sweet.
Look, and I think it's even relatively easy for them because, again, most of them were youngish and they don't really have kids and all that. But the show shows that friendships is a concentrated effort on all parts, that everyone in the show clearly wanted to be friends with each other because they had multiple avenues to separate. And I think the final episode, was it one episode or two, where Issa rushed through an entire story of whatever, the final of the final season, where we go through a lot. Like, Tiffany moves to a whole other state and they make this relationship last by fire or by force. They're flying to see her for birthday, she's coming to see them, and eventually they move back. But like,
that's growth.
That's growth, but that's also like a choice. Tiffany could have just made new friends in the state she lives in. Like, she could have made new real friends.
She probably has made some friends.
Yeah, but she moved back.
Old friend. Oh, she moved back.
Yeah, at the end, like, she said, "I miss y'all niggas. I'm coming back home," and that's great.
mean, Colorado is.
Stop.
I'm so sorry if you live there.
But Colorado is great. We love it.
Maybe New York. Maybe New York.
But they really show that all four women, but particularly Issa and Molly, because they're the main characters, they really truly care about making those relationships last and being consistent, which I think it's helpful. I mean, the show definitely focused on romantic entanglements for the main two a lot, but secretly, silently in the back, the main thing was the friendship. And I like that the show kind of ends with us seeing that, you know, we get to Molly's wedding and she gives Issa a really sweet speech, and I'm just like, okay, you weren't that bad in season 3. This is your best friend. And it's nice to know that Molly has grown to the place that she can say that, but also that Issa is there to receive it. So even though she's marrying Tauren, she found her black king who's a lawyer and worthy of her. She's not like obsessed and fixated on it. She's saying, okay, the friendship is what matters. And the final season did a lot of that. So, you know, there's Tiffany moving, there's Molly getting married, there's Kelly having a baby with a man, and
they did Kelly so dirty. Like, the entire show, like, she was the financially responsible one. She was one who had her shit together. She was there for her friends, and now she's gonna end up with a baby and with like.
It was really random.
It was random, out of nowhere.
Especially because the way the friend, like, all of the friend group were like, but you didn't want a baby, and she's like, well, I guess I wanted a baby with this man who we've never seen you with before. Anyway, even though I didn't like how that played out on screen, Issa, you fully could have just given us another season, but it's fine. It's fine. Whatever. The fact that her friends are, although initially they're like, sounds fake, but okay, they're also like, okay, we support you. You're having a baby, and
I don't know if I'm gonna do that.
So if I change my mind and I want to have a baby, you're not gonna be like, hey, yay.
No, like, if you just showed up randomly with a guy and a baby, I would eventually support you, but I would have some questions to ask.
I mean, but that's the thing, you know, it's I think it's like societal convention, because Molly and Issa, neither of them are the ones that are close to Kelly. So I'm sure Tiffany asked, but I'm sure if Molly had just shown up randomly pregnant, Issa would have been like, come girl, that's great. Okay, let's go talk in this room. What's going on? Are you a hostage? Like, but I like that they had that. I loved Kelly in the like brief moments that we got her. I wish we had gotten more out of her. They really did the whole fat friend, funny friend at the side that doesn't get a lot, which is unfortunate. But again, other than Issa, Molly, and Lawrence, these characters did not get a lot of depth. I really think it's the 30 minutes episode, 10 episode seasons for only 4 seasons. There's only so much you can show. Although I feel like we didn't need a whole season dedicated to Nathan, but that's fine. Do you, boo? It made you happy. But overall, I liked the depiction of friendship, and although it didn't happen as much with the men, we did get a few moments with, Lawrence talking to Derek or talking to Chad, who would give him the worst advice, or even consoling Chad after his wedding fell apart because he cheated on his to-be wife with strippers, because that's what Chad does. But yeah, friendship was a really strong thing for the show. And I think it's the only thing that the fans can actually support, because when it comes down to like, whose side are you on, Issa and Molly, or who should Issa end up with, we were divided. We were not one people.
Very divided. I still stand by Team Daniel.
Can you imagine?
I know that surprised you, but I just loved their relationship. And Issa, he did us. It wasn't even the last season. It was now Nathan versus. Oh, come on.
Can you? Well, okay. To be fair, if we had to pick between two men, that like the two men had to be who Issa was picking through, it should have been Daniel and Lawrence, or a new person. It just shouldn't have been Nathan. I'm anti Nathan. That being said, girl, please, Daniel.
He's like tall, dark, and handsome. Maybe not that tall, but dark.
I'm glad that you said not that tall, because he's the shortest one there. Ugh, girl, please, no.
He's a short king.
No. Team Nathan for the win. Team Nathan and what? I meant Lawrence.
I was very confused.
Sorry, Team Lawrence. Also, Team Condola shouldn't have had that baby. Team Lawrence and Condola should have used protection. Team abortion is a right, your body, your choice. Just that baby, I'm so upset. See, now we derailed. See how we're talking about the relationships? That's my point. The friendships were a very strong part of the show. I loved it. Issa did a really good job there, and I'm hoping with her new show, Rap Shit, we talked about it as well. If you haven't seen it, look in our videos. But I'm hoping that in her new show, she also kind of highlights friendship, but also does better kind of showing us the levels there, because like Miss Ann mentioned, a lot of things were glossed over because of timeline, or because we're focusing on romantic relationships or career, which is great, but we want to see women supporting women, being friends with women. So yeah, those are our thoughts on friendships and how they were portrayed on screen in Insecure. What do you think? Do you think we gave a fair and honest assessment of how much friendship was shown? Do you wish you had seen more? Do you wish you had seen less? Do you think Molly and Issa were good friends who should have gotten back together friendship-wise by the final season? Let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you join us for the next one. Bye.
Bye.